I would like to call to order the regular City Council meeting of January 12th, 2026. Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Marcella, can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Condi.
Here.
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Solorio.
Here.
Councilmember Weiss.
Here.
Councilmember White.
Present.
Mayor Pineda.
Here.
And Vice Mayor Nielsen has an excused absence tonight.
Thank you. Ron, next item, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we move on to the presentations item, with your permission, I'd like to start tonight by addressing agenda item number 6, reports from the city manager.
Please do.
So I'd actually like to take just a minute, and I'd like to recognize Councilmember Sherry Weiss for an outstanding professional achievement. Councilmember Weiss has been selected as Distinguished Nurse of the Year by the March of Dimes, an organization nationally recognized for its commitment to maternal and infant health. Each year, the March of Dimes selects their Heroes in Action awardees, which celebrate the extraordinary healthcare heroes who go above and beyond for their moms, babies, and families across Arizona. This honor reflects not only clinical excellence, but also a deep commitment to the compassion, advocacy, and service, values that align closely with public service. This recognition highlights the impact one individual can have both in healthcare profession and in our community. On behalf of the city of Avondale, I'd like to congratulate Councilmember Weiss on this well-deserved honor and thank you for your continued service to our city and those you care for every day. So as you see, your family joined us here tonight. Oh, they're and in the back, but your daughters as well. But we wanted to make sure that more people knew about it than you. So if you want to come down and say anything, if that was all right with the mayor, and hug some people who love you very much, I'm sure it'd be well received.
I know her.
Bye. Thank you. You want to say anything about the March of Dimes?
Well, thank you so much. I was kind of going under the radar there, I thought. Actually, 4 staff members from my NICU were finalists for the state. 2 for nursing, pediatric nursing, 1 for student nurse, and I was in the distinguished nurse category. And 2 of us won, myself and our student nurse. And it was an honor and it was a surprise, and I felt just as shocked as I did back then. But I have to thank the team that I work with. I have an incredible team at my hospital, and I just feel like I have an incredible team here. So thank you so much for the recognition.
Thank you. Sherry. Much deserved.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ron. And I'll give you a second as I know you're up. You're up next again.
I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. right. Up next, we have a presentation by Renee Weatherless, our Finance and Budget Director.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. I have the pleasure of introducing to you Marco Ponce. He's our newest project manager in the CIP division. Marco joined the team last week and will be working on the city's transportation and parks CIP projects. Marco came to us from the city of Phoenix, where he worked for 25 years in various departments, including water, planning and development, public transit, and streets, before finally retiring and joining the city of Avondale. One of his most challenging but rewarding positions over the years was working in right-of-way management for downtown Phoenix, where he had to balance light rail construction, major private development, egress plans for the Phoenix Suns, the Diamondbacks, and the 2023 Super Bowl downtown experience, as well as 2 presidential visits, among other high-profile special events, while minimizing the impact on the public. On his spare time, Marco volunteers at a juvenile detention center and enjoys spending time with his wife of 38 years, his 3 sons, and his 5 grandchildren. So I'd like to welcome Marco.
Well, welcome aboard, Marco. So how long has Marco been on staff? And I might have missed that. I apologize.
So I started a week ago today. Mayor and Council, appreciate you guys.
So a week ago today, however, with all the experience that we've just heard, tremendous experience nonetheless, what are some of the things, and I know that coming on board to a new organization, you have other things that you would like to accomplish, but what are some things that, with your past experience and keeping that in mind, will you be bringing to the city of Avondale? What's something that you've seen so far that you're aware of, that you're really looking forward to tackling?
Obviously, I'm very honored to serve the citizens of Avondale, and my goal is always, to make sure that I'm looking out for the city and for the residents, and making sure that, minimizing impacts, being fiscally responsible, safety for ADA, for all the construction that's going to be going on, the traveling public, obviously. So I look forward to it.
Thank you. And you've only been here a week, but I got to tell you, that's one of the coolest Avondale hats I've seen yet. So I don't know where we can get one of those, but that's really cool. Well, I just want to say thank you. Welcome aboard the city of Avondale. You got a tremendous staff you'll be working with. It's a great organization, and look forward to seeing you on other presentations related to the CIP. Thank you.
Thank you once again.
Ron?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Up next, we have a presentation by Chief Espinoza, recognize a couple of his outstanding officers.
I think this is the first time I had to raise the podium, so. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. It is my honor to be here to recognize 2 of our outstanding officers, Officers Daniel Benavidez and Officer Jared Redfearn. If I can have you guys come up here. On December 17th, Officer Benavidez and Redfearn were invited to Ranch Santa Fe Elementary, where they were surprised with the Bronco Rise Up Award. Part of the nomination states they are reflective, intentional, and constantly supportive, serving as outstanding examples for all of our Broncos. The nomination goes on to say, most importantly, Officers Redfearn and Benavidez help keep our campus safe. Their commitment, care, and dedication creates an environment where all of our Broncos feel protected, supported, and able to thrive. We are incredibly grateful for all they do for our community. If I can also echo what the elementary school had to say, we are very grateful to have them on board. These 2 employees are great. They serve in our community in many capacities. They are heavily involved with the schools. They are heavily involved with our unsheltered community by providing resources. They are both public information officers. And they are the creators and the stars of our own podcast at the Avondale Police Department, the 1010 podcast. But they are also involved with our HOAs, our Homeowners Association. In fact, when one of these HOA presidents, Mr. Lemon, heard that we were going to be recognizing these 2 officers, he asked if he could say a few words. So I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Mayor, City Council, he summed it up. Is when I saw they were getting an award, I thought, this is just a perfect time for me to kind of tell what they mean to the community. I happen to rub elbows with them, a lot of different functions on there. I know a couple of you have gone to the Citizens Police Academy recently, and I've done it with them for the past several years. The detail that they put into this, the time, they connect with every single person in that room, and they make it so they will ask questions and enjoy it. And it takes a lot on that, and they worry a lot about it, but they do a great job on that part. They also, I know you all see them at community events. I think Benny's probably the best colorer that I've ever seen on that part. He colors a lot. But again, the comments again from the citizens that come back from those, just what they do for the community on that. And especially like HOAs, they've been going to our HOA up in Garden Lakes for several years. And now it's one of those, are you going to make sure you bring them back? Because what they do, and I won't go into detail on some of them on there, but some have concerns maybe of the trail safety, some about parking, fancy that, and they get on right away. The citizens, that's what they like. They like to hear that they're heard and that they're responsive on that part. So I just wanted to make sure I called them out and let you know the great things they do in the community. Thank you for empowering them to do that, and we just appreciate them. So.
Don't leave you. We also have a very small token of appreciation for their ongoing commitment to the residents of Avondale. It's our challenge coin. The difference between this challenge coin and previous ones that I've given you both is that it's in a small little case that you can showcase in your cubicle. So.
Whoa, you guys,
Yeah.
hold on, easy. Come on back. So first and foremost, congratulations. I mean, many of what Paul, Mr. Lemon just said, what Chief just said, and how they describe you and the services you provide to the community are echoed many, many different times and ways. Even when I'm out there, just as recent as this past weekend in Alomar. And while it was just a chili cook-off, and I don't mean to phrase it that way, but what I mean is just a neighborhood party, it was important for several of the residents to communicate to me just how much you guys do for them and how much they appreciate you. And I hear that often, right? We hear your names often. And the fact that you are on social media with the podcast, and that's got legs of its own, and I know you got a lot of followers and listeners, just says a lot about what you do in and outside of work and just how much the city means to both of you. So from me to you, congratulations, and it's well deserved, but I'm sure that there's other council members here that would love to say something. So we'll start with Councilmember Solorio.
Thank you, gentlemen, for everything you guys do. I've seen you quite often at Rancho Santa Fe, having 3 nephews that go to school there. Principal Zuniga reached out to me via email saying she's sorry she couldn't be here, but she's still not driving as she's on crutches still. And secondly, I want to thank you for making me the cool aunt, aka the Tia, because the kids see you and they can't believe that I know you guys both, and they wonder, like, you don't know them. I said, they work with me. No, they don't. They don't work at the hotel. So thank you for making me the cool aunt, because they think that you guys are the best.
Councilmember Weiss.
Hi, as somebody who went through the Citizens Leadership Academy, but also the Citizens Police Academy, I had so much fun, and you guys made it great, and along with Jenny. But I want to thank the leadership for allowing them to think outside of the box and to do different things. So the Copy 1010, just all of the different things that they do to engage the community, and having that bandwidth to be allowed to do the things that they do, and just to it just brings so much because you have a passion, right? And to allow somebody to foster that passion. So just thank you so much for allowing them to do it, and thank you for doing it. You do it great.
Councilmember White.
Thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you, Chavez. Thank you so much, Memo, as well, for allowing for them to take space up in the city. I think I first met you all as a parent at EV, and really was grateful that my kids were like, "Oh, you're not afraid to talk to the police." I'm like, "No, they're really cool, right?" I still believe 1010 is possible for an Emmy in the future. I think that you guys are award-winning. For those who don't know why I think that 1010 could be Emmy award-winning, it broadcasts on your local 11. So please tune in. If you don't want to listen online, you can actually watch it on TV here in the city of Avondale. Shameless plug. But back to you guys. You are the heart of that, right? And we were out at the holiday party with Mercy House, and I just turned around and you were standing behind me, Red, and that's the way Avondale feels about our police. We're not afraid, but you always have our six. So thank you very much. We appreciate you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Councilwoman Garcia?
I wanted to say, like what Sherry said, thank you so much for your leadership, for letting them think out of the box, because community policing is what builds relationships with the community, and that's what you guys do. I mean, if you see what's happening everywhere in the world, I know that people in Avondale feel safe and they like our officers, and it's because of the work that you guys do at the schools and within the communities themselves. So thank you guys so much for what you guys are doing.
Councilmember Condi?
Well, everybody stole my thunder, but I just want to say thank you for all that you do, but more so bringing your hearts of joy to the community. You guys always have smiles on your faces, and just building those relationships are so important. So thank you guys for all that you do.
Once again, we appreciate your service, and thanks again for everything that you've done in the community and will continue to do. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, they asked, begged, they pleaded to get pictures with you all. I tried to hold them off, but I said after this process, after we're done with presentations, they would love to get a picture with council.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Ron. Okay, item C.
Oh, another great one. Mr. Mayor and Council, up next is we have a presentation by Marcella and Pierre for our 80th anniversary kickoff.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. As you all already know, the City of Avondale is celebrating our 80th anniversary at the end of this year. Avondale was incorporated as a town on December 16th, 1946, with a population of 2,232 residents. And just some fun history for you all, Avondale's first mayor was Mr. D.W. Chisholm, who was appointed amongst his peers. And the town first began with 2 employees, the town clerk and the town attorney. And just a couple months later, the town grew to a staff of 6 to include a marshal, a deputy marshal, an engineer, and a judge. As you can tell, Avondale has grown drastically with a population now of over 100,000 and over 800 employees. And we are very excited to kick off this year-long celebration. And at this time, I'll pass it over to Pierre, who will share some of our marketing efforts that we have planned.
Thanks, Marcella. Mayor and Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. As Marcella mentioned, tonight we'll kick off our 80th anniversary celebration, and we are really excited to present some of the things that we've got planned. We have developed a marketing plan that will celebrate the 80th anniversary, and although the City Clerk Department and Marketing will be spearheading it, every single department in the city has played a part in it and will continue. So starting this month, we will be installing a big banner over the street on Avondale Boulevard, so motorists driving down the city will know that this is a milestone anniversary for us. We will also be planning some merchandise in the gift store, including this limited edition State 48 80th anniversary shirt. So they go on sale tomorrow in the gift store. Please get yours while supplies last. We will also have some other items like polo shirts, hats, customized postcards, pins, those kinds of things. So watch out for those throughout the year. We also have some highlights for the celebration. As you know, this year's State of the City event takes place in March, and the theme of this year's State of the City will be the 80th anniversary. You can expect Mayor Pineda to talk about the city's tremendous progress over the 8 decades and what's to come in the future. And of course, everybody loves a parade. Billy Moore Days this year will have a float dedicated to our history, and we expect to have a birthday celebration at the end of the year with Winterfest to mark that, the official birthday for the city, which is December 16th. And then throughout the year, we'll be sharing stories from our residents, our longtime employees, businesses and leaders via videos and social media and in our Rave magazine. And so really the objective throughout the year is to get the entire community to rally around the 80th anniversary and for everyone to realize that they're a big part of our city's past, present, and more importantly, the future. I'll turn it back to Marcella.
And thank you, Mayor and Council. That concludes our presentation. At this time, Mayor, we'll pass it back over to you for the reading of the proclamation.
Be very happy to read the proclamation. Whereas Avondale's history can be traced back to its origins as a stagecoach stop on the Butterfield Trail, a settlement first known as Coldwater, named for the flowing water from the nearby Alfreda River. And whereas on December 16, 1946, Avondale incorporated as a city, with D.W. Chisholm appointed as its first mayor of the city of Avondale. And whereas Avondale has come a long way from its humble beginnings as a farming community to one of the fastest growing cities in the Metro Phoenix area. And whereas Avondale is a community where people share a deep sense of pride in what has been accomplished and what it is today. And whereas the year-long 80th anniversary celebration will offer all residents of Avondale the opportunity to commemorate and celebrate Avondale's proud past and discover all that our community has to offer while looking ahead to the exciting future history. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Avondale City Council, the City of Avondale, Arizona, hereby proclaims 2026 as a celebratory year of Avondale's 80th anniversary. Just really quickly, and I just would like to share that, Pierre just hit on something, and I know that it'll come across in the State of the City address, and that is in regard to the past, the present, and the future. And just thinking about hearing 80 decades, the 80th anniversary, what those who have come before all of us who sit at this dais, more importantly, leadership, staff, and the residents, what they've gone through, what they've went through, the wins, the losses, the setbacks, the issues that have been faced, and all of the, again, I said it already, but the successes that the city has won and has celebrated. I just am so fortunate and happy to be a part of that in this capacity and over the last 8 years as a council member. So I hope that over the next year that we can all celebrate together this 80th year because we have a lot to be thankful for, a lot to be happy about. And more importantly, we should be happy at just what is to come that Avondale has not realized yet. And I know that I am. And so if anybody has any comments, feel free. Otherwise, we'll save it for the next couple of events that will be coming forward. Okay. At this time, we have item D. Ron?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next, we have Reem, who is our Family Advocacy Center Manager, to introduce the topic and I think a guest and the reading of the proclamation.
Good evening. I'm here to talk about a serious topic. I feel like I'm always here talking about a serious topic, but this topic, today is human trafficking. It's Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Human trafficking is a hidden crime, but its impact is very real here in Avondale and the West Valley. Our region's growth, major transportation corridors, and large events make combating this issue and prioritizing prevention and awareness especially critical. Since 2022, the City of Avondale has led the way through the West Valley Sex Trafficking Task Force It's a collaborative effort bringing together local and federal law enforcement agencies, nonprofit partners, hospitals, and service providers to identify victims, disrupt trafficking networks, and connect survivors with housing, counseling, and other essential services. Since the task force began, our detectives have arrested nearly 200 buyers, including 45 child predators, and assisted 89 individuals, including survivors and those at risk of being trafficked. Prevention is equally important. We focus on educating first responders, city staff, local businesses, and community members to recognize the signs and report concerns safely and effectively. This is not just a law enforcement issue. It is a community responsibility. Through continued partnerships and survivor-centered solutions, Avondale is helping lead the West Valley in protecting our most vulnerable residents. I would also like to highlight our upcoming human trafficking training focused on runaway youth and their links to sex trafficking taking place on January 22nd here at the Visitor Center. I provided you the pamphlet. I hope everybody received it. I'll leave the rest in the back. If you're interested in attending, there is a link to register. At this time, I would like to turn the microphone over to Mr. Buzz Obayami with Not in Our City for remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would love to thank the mayor and also the council members, distinguished council members, for honoring us with the proclamation. One person trafficked is one person too much. Not in Our City was started with a group of pastors over 8 years ago with their heart and their passion to speak against human trafficking across all the cities in Arizona. Arizona being the 15th state with the largest human trafficking in the United States. So it's good to see now, a few years ago it was 15th, now we're 17th. But the fight against human trafficking is not over. It takes the effort of the council members and other cities as well. So with that said, I would love to welcome Pastor Ryan Nunes to speak a little bit more on that. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, I want to thank you so much on behalf of Not in Our City for this proclamation and for standing publicly against human trafficking. You know, when a city takes a stand, it sends a clear message that exploitation has no safe place here. This proclamation is more than words. It represents awareness, prevention, and protection for the vulnerable. Together, faith leaders like myself, city officials like you, law enforcement, and residents can be part of the solution. We want to invite the entire community to Night of Hope 8, which is going to be on February 22nd at Pure Heart Church in Glendale, 5 o'clock p.m. It's a free event. It's for family members, family friendly. It's for awareness and hope as we unite to say, Not in Our City. Thank you.
Thank you.
And together we can all say, Not in Our City.
Not in our city.
Mr. Mayor, back to you for the reading of the proclamation. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak today.
Thank you so much. And I believe Councilmember Condi will be reading the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I read the proclamation, I just really want to express my sincere gratitude to Chief Espinoza, to Reem George, and just the Avondale Police Department. All the detectives, the advocates, the West Valley Sex Trafficking Task Force team, and any of the detectives that work these cases. I also want to just say thank you to anybody else who played a part in bringing these classes, this training to our city, to our staff. It's so important. The last 3 years I was able to attend the Night of Hope, so it's definitely a wonderful event of worship and prayer just to cover our cities and our leaders. And with that, I'd like to read the proclamation, Not in Our City. Whereas human trafficking is a serious crime in violation of human rights that exploits individuals through force, fraud, and coercion for labor or commercial sex, and affects people of all ages, genders, backgrounds. And whereas Not in Our City is a community-centered coalition dedicated to combating human trafficking by uniting law enforcement, faith-based organizations, nonprofits, schools, businesses, and residents in a shared commitment to say Not in Our City to exploitation. And whereas Not in Our City emphasizes education, awareness, victim support, and proactive prevention strategies, encouraging local pledges and community engagement, to help identify, report, and prevent trafficking activities. And whereas the City of Avondale is committed to protecting the safety, dignity, and well-being of all residents and recognizes the importance of collaboration, education, and vigilance in preventing human trafficking and supporting survivors. Now, therefore, on the behalf of Avondale City Council, the City of Avondale, Arizona, hereby proclaims January 2026 as Not in Our City Month and encourage all residents, organizations, and businesses to join in raising awareness, supporting victims and survivors, and working together to ensure that human trafficking has no place in our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Condi. And I don't know if this is going to be posted, Ron, or not, the information to this meeting next week here at the Civic Center, or if that's just for organizations.
Mr. Mayor, we'll take a look at that.
Okay.
I know the Advocacy Center will have that stuff posted.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay, at this time, item number 3, unscheduled public appearances. Marcel, I do have one.
Mr. Mayor, before we start, this is the end of the presentations. Can we get a couple of pictures so that our guests can go about their day?
Yeah, even after you said it before, right? I mean, would have thought, if I remember. But yes, if you wouldn't mind, please joining us down here for pictures. Okay, Ron, we are at item number 3, unscheduled public appearances, and I apologize, Marcella. I know we have one blue card. Do we have any others?
Thank you, Mayor. We have received one request to speak from Gerald Moe.
Okay. Oh, you sure you don't want to come and... You get 3 minutes. There. Oh, I thought he was going to get up. You sure? Okay. All right. So no other blue cards outside of that one.
Thank you, Mayor. No other requests to speak.
Okay. Well, thank you, Gerald. Okay. Item 4, we have the consent agenda. Are there any council members who wish to have an item removed for separate consideration? Seeing none, if we can please vote, or get a motion, sorry. Got a motion from Councilmember Weiss, second from Councilmember Condi. Please vote. Okay, item passes. Ron, item 5A, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. First, we have a public hearing, intent to adopt revised development impact fees. Our Finance Director, Renee Weatherless, is here to present.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. The purpose of tonight's item is to conduct a public hearing on the city's intent to adopt revised development impact fees. So as we know, development impact fees are intended to require new development to pay one-time fees that fund the cost of necessary public infrastructure and services, such as roads, parks, public safety facilities, water, and sewer systems that are needed to accommodate the increased demand from new growth. These fees ensure that growth pays for itself, preventing the burden from falling on existing residents and local businesses. The development impact fee process itself is regulated by state statute, and the process began in August with a public notice. We held 2 stakeholder meetings with the development community before holding a public hearing on the updated land use assumptions and infrastructure improvement plan. The plan was adopted on November 17th, and a notice of intent to assess development fees was posted on November 22nd. We're here tonight to hold a public hearing on the updated development impact fees and plan to return to Council on February 23rd to adopt the updated impact fees. Upon adoption, the new fees would not take effect for 75 days, which would be May 9th, and these new fees would apply to new projects going forward. So why was this update needed? Essentially, the revision is driven by the costs associated with the water reclamation facility expansion project. At the time we approved our last fee schedule, the project cost was under $80 million. Today, the total project cost is $155 million. Therefore, we need to revise our fees to recover this increase and the costs associated to debt finance the entire project. So our wastewater development impact fees are based on meter size, and the most common meter size for a single-family residence is a 3/4 inch meter, which is currently $3,153. Based on the updated calculation, the fee would be $10,854, which is an increase of just over $7,700. And as you can see, the fees increase with the increase in meter size. Now, if we take this updated wastewater fee and look at the development fees all combined, you will see an example for a single-family residence. The current fees for all necessary services totals $14,432. With the new updated fee for wastewater, that total increases to $22,133. And again, the driving factor is due to the increased cost of the project and the need to debt finance the project. So if you look at where does that make us compare with other West Valley cities, you will see that our current impact fees are in the bottom half of the comparison, and with the updated fees, it would put us above that midpoint. So, as I mentioned, our next steps would be to first hold a public hearing tonight on the intent to assess development impact fees. We would then return to council to adopt the new fees on February 23rd, with the new effective date of those fees being May 9th. And just to make note, those new fees would apply to new projects on a go-forward basis. So with that, I will take any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you so much, Renee. Marcella, have we received any requests to speak on this item?
Thank you, Mayor. We have not received any requests to speak.
Okay, at this time, I would like to open a public hearing. Seeing that we have no requests to speak, I will close it. At this time, I'll open the floor to any comments by city council members. Okay, yes, Councilmember White.
Can we go back to the slide, Renee, for just one moment that had what it would have cost a few years ago and what it costs now, the comparison? I think it's the third slide back.
The pricing?
That's it, yeah. The
project.
Yes, that project cost. So the estimate, but then the current project cost. So it's an increase. It's actually almost doubling. And when did we anticipate the start of this project?
So I was just, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember White, reviewing the CIP list today. There's a request to start construction in the next fiscal year. We are currently under design right now. So we're in the middle of design. The last note I received from James, our project administrator, was that we're still at that 155 number. Holding on, but we're getting ready to begin construction. It'll take a couple of years to complete. But in the current plan that will be before council in the next few months is to start construction in the next fiscal year.
And maybe I didn't hear, and I might not have been on council. When did we get the project cost again? I believe you said that 79.6. When did we get that original estimate?
So, Mayor, Councilmember White, that $79,000 that was included in our last update was the approved plan from 2022, so that date would have been prior to then.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, at this time, if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and move forward as this item is only for discussion. So we'll go on to item 5B. Thank you so much, Renee.
Mr. Mayor and Council, up next, you'll see Andy, our HR Director. He's going to present both 5B and 5C, both amendments to our personnel policies.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Mayor, and Council members. The final items before you tonight are requests to amend City of Avondale Policies, Chapter 4, Recruitment and Selection, and Chapter 18, Discipline. Starting with Chapter 4, just an overview of the proposed amendments are to increase the maximum duration of a certified list, which is essentially our list of eligible qualified candidates to consider for a vacant position, from 1 year to 2 years, and also to modify the promotional probation section of current policy to align with recent changes to Arizona Revised Statutes 38-1104 regarding the demotion of promoted law enforcement officers for unsuccessful completion of probation. Currently, certified lists are active for 6 months with the option for the list to be extended up to a maximum of 1 year with approval from the Human Resources Director. At times, there are circumstances where having a longer duration would be beneficial to both the city as well as candidates who are on an active list. A primary example is related to promotional testing for both police and fire. Given the extensive time, effort, and costs associated with promotional testing for sworn public safety positions, the proposed amendment will establish the ability for a certified list to be extended up to a maximum of 2 years. Given the time and effort put into preparing for promotional tests, this benefits candidates and ensures their efforts and performance on the test last beyond their current promotional need. Additionally, there may be other considerations where longer lists may be necessary to help streamline hiring when future vacancies are anticipated for a single or for a specific position type and a sufficient list of qualified candidates is established and available. One thing to note is that this proposed amendment was a priority topic during our recent negotiations with the Avondale Professional Firefighters Association and is supported by the association. The second amendment is having to do with promotional probation. So the current policy allows for employees to be dismissed when it's been determined that the employee has unsuccessfully completed promotional probation and no lower level vacant position exists for which the employee qualifies. Recent changes associated with Arizona Revised Statute 38-1104 remove the ability for an employer to dismiss a law enforcement officer who is promoted above their current rank due to unsuccessful completion of promotional probation. So in that particular instance, the expected action is that the employer would demote rather than dismiss the employee. This change does not limit the employer's ability to terminate a law enforcement officer at any time for just cause, but it does ensure that we're in compliance with state law by adopting this particular amendment. So that concludes an overview of Chapter 4. Before I move on to Chapter 18, I wanted to pause in case there were any questions council had regarding Chapter 4.
Are there any questions from council this time? Councilmember White?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much, Andy, for taking a stab at this. This one's difficult because the state law does give us pretty specific guidelines. I just wanted to know, would there ever be an instance where somebody gets that promotion and they're in that probation period, and the next chapter we're going to talk about where disciplinary action starts because maybe they're not able to execute their job correctly? Are they potentially running concurrent with being put on disciplinary action and being demoted?
Mayor, Council Member White, so what we would look at in that scenario, essentially employees who are promoted, it's because they had a good track record, they were qualified for the position, and we have seen some instances where maybe the position or the needs of that role were in conflict with what the employee's capabilities were after being selected for that. So certainly we would look to work with that employee to coach them, to provide training, to provide them, giving them every opportunity to be successful in that particular job. If at the end of that probationary period it's determined that the employee is not successful in that role, then we would likely be looking at a demotion opportunity for them to go back into another position, whether it's within that department or within the city that they would qualify for. The purpose being is that typically in those instances it's not a misconduct issue or a behavior issue. We want to, if that employee has been provided good service to the residents of Avondale and adding value to the organization, we want to look and see if there's opportunities for them to be able to land in the spot before going to a dismissal action or anything like that. The challenge would be at the time where what vacancies do we have available? You know, if we're fully staffed, if we're close to fully staffed, or looking at what their skill set is and what the qualifications of a vacant position might be. If there's misalignment there, maybe we don't have a perfect fit. But we would look at those avenues before coming to a final conclusion of dismissing an employee for not being successful in their promotional probationary period.
So I guess I was probably thinking about it, if I may, I was more thinking about it in terms of you promote somebody from being a regular employee to supervising employees, and then we realize that they're not monitoring attendance, that they're not doing their annual reviews of their employees, so that is a dereliction of duties. That is a disciplinary action. That is not termination or dismissal. That would, if they didn't do that job, that is pretty serious when you supervise people. So that would possibly put somebody in jeopardy of getting put on discipline for that item, but then we would also be looking to demote them. So that's the scenario I'm looking at. Would we have somebody we potentially have already had to give discipline to that now we have to demote, and they're working back alongside people that maybe they didn't provide disciplinary action to, because that's something they can get discipline for, and put them back working with their other peers. So that's just, I'm kind of nervous with that. We would have to see it happen for it to manifest. I wouldn't want you to get caught off guard with the reality that can happen, it sounds like.
Yeah, Mayor, Councilmember White. So yes, we would look at those instances if an employee is not performing up to expectations or fulfilling those duties or responsibilities associated with their job. There's obviously a number of corrective steps that could be taken to get them on track or to address that behavior. I think when we get to a demotion discussion, it's because those efforts have been unsuccessful, and now we're kind of at that point of making a determination on whether or not that's really the right fit for that individual in that role.
Ron, did you have anything to add? Okay. Councilman White, okay. Anybody else? Okay, Andy?
All right. So moving on to Chapter 18. In looking at this particular chapter, it's not had a comprehensive review since its creation back in 2014. So Human Resources embarked on a review and is recommending a number of proposed amendments to this policy. So just an overview, we believe that the proposed amendments promote transparency, consistency, and accountability, balance clear standards with management discretion to address individual circumstances, use discipline to identify issues, support improvement, and clarify consequences, establish just cause for discipline when conduct violates policy, law, or job expectations, applies progressive discipline with discretion based on severity and circumstances, and ensures discipline is proportionate and consistent considering the individual's role, their intent, and past performance history. So taking a little bit of a deeper dive into progressive discipline, the proposed amendments provide a flexible and transparent framework that's aligned with the city's and residents' interests. It requires HR consultation before a written reprimand or a hire is imposed on an employee to ensure that HR is in the loop on that and able to evaluate and look at consistency and transparency across the organization. Progressive discipline encourages coaching and early intervention for minor conduct issues, allows escalation when behavior is serious or repeated. Discipline options generally range from coaching, which is more informal and verbal warning, to written reprimand, suspension, demotion, and dismissal. And it preserves management's discretion to apply appropriate level of discipline based on individual circumstances. Administrative investigations. So this was a section that we included as part of the chapter. Again, our intent with this was to provide transparency and make it really known as to what was entailed when we're embarked on an administrative investigation. So the proposed amendments establish a standardized administrative investigation process to determine potential policy, procedure, or legal violations. It assigns human resources to conduct or coordinate investigations with exceptions for law enforcement, sworn law enforcement covered by Arizona Revised Statute 381101. It requires written notification of investigation or an NOI prior to interviews outlining allegations and representation rights. It also specifies employee interview rights, including representation, note-taking, and the ability for the principal or the focus of the investigation to provide a statement at the end of the interview. And it provides employees with access to final investigation reports when violations are sustained. Council may recall that back in January of 2024, amendments to Chapter 18 were approved to include representatives, which allowed for employees to have a representative, which is a current employee who's not an attorney, present during an administrative investigation, interview, or pre-disciplinary hearing process. So we've actually expanded on what currently exists within current policy. So we've enhanced clarity on rights and expectations for employees who request a representative. We ensure consistent treatment across departments, provides transparency by clearly defining the representative's role, and it also supports fair and timely investigations without unnecessary delays. These proposed amendments, both the administrative investigations and the employee representative rights, were priority topics, again, during our recent negotiations with Avondale Professional Firefighters Association, and these amendments are supported by the association. We also looked at our pre-disciplinary process. So the proposed amendments really provide clarity on formal notice of intent requirements, so ensuring that any notice of intent for discipline includes reasons, policy violations, and rights that the employees might have. It guarantees employees an opportunity to respond either in person or in writing before discipline is imposed. It clearly establishes the right to representation during the predetermination hearing and access to supporting materials justifying the proposed discipline. It standardizes the hearing process, prevents premature decisions by requiring discipline determination after the hearing. So a department director wouldn't be able to make a decision on discipline before hearing the individual's opportunity to present their side of the story in advance. And it also adds safeguards when discipline is increased, requiring a new notice and a new hearing in the event that a department director decided to increase the discipline after hearing additional information during that predetermination hearing. And lastly, we've incorporated a disciplinary matrix as part of the policy amendments. So the purpose of the matrix is to promote consistency and fairness by aligning discipline with the type and severity of misconduct or performance deficiency. We've provided expectations for employees about potential consequences of behavior. supports early correction through coaching and progressive steps for minor issues, serves as a guideline for supervisors when considering discipline, and supports consistency across departments, and then preserves management discretion to account for individual circumstances. So this summarizes all of the proposed amendments to Chapter 18 that are before Council tonight. And before I go into the recommendation, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Are there any council comments for item 5B, Chapter 18? Seeing none. Oh, Councilmember White, sorry.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Thanks again, Andy. Thank you as well, Mr. Corbin, for taking a comprehensive look at this. I did really enjoy taking a look at the matrix. I think my brain functions in terms of when I think about disciplinary actions, three main categories of disciplinary action, one being attendance, one being conduct, and then the other being performance. So each area kind of would address that. In that matrix, I really didn't see that segregated out, but I see a matrix, which means we have to start somewhere. And since this hasn't been updated since 2014, when it was added to the document, that's, great work, great job. Only other thing beyond that categorization that I would have in my head is I would say this is more for the records that we see on our end, and for those people who might be looking at home, it's not on the screen, but it is in the full documentation of the red line versions. I would just, the chronic or severe cases, in some instances, they have written reprimand up to dismissal. I actually like the old verbiage that we had, termination. I think dismissal might be more standard verbiage, but I would recommend that we have it broken out on the columns based on if it's a coaching, verbal warning, reprimand, or termination, dismissal, because some offenses, once you commit them, you are terminated. You are dismissed from employment. So I think sometimes when we have progressive disciplinary action, we get the false security that we might have the opportunity to progress. But, if you are a thief, goodbye today, when we found it and had documented proof. If there is a fight, if you harm somebody at work, goodbye today. And it even says in what we see, criminal conduct and arrest. So, and it doesn't say found guilty of an offense, misdemeanor, or felony. It says criminal conduct, arrest. So that's a very strict scrutiny to have, and I can only see where people might be uncomfortable. Well, I was only arrested, they dropped the charges, why am I getting dismissed? Well, our policy says the arrest alone is enough. So I think that that's the only reason I would ask in any future iterations to probably drive how that matrix looks based on the outcomes instead of the actions, and then possibly kind of consolidating it. Just for reference for all of us, can you tell us where you kind of benchmarked the information from?
Sure. So Mayor, Councilmember White, my prior employer, we had a matrix, a discipline matrix. It was wasn't directly on point to the matrix that we have here at City of Avondale, but at least it kind of gave a framework for us to build from and really look at how we structure discipline here at City of Avondale and expectations that we have. So using kind of that concept, but then adapting it to our needs, especially to your point as a first iteration of us kind of embarking on this, to ensure that time will tell as we continue to evaluate things and how that could be enhanced further.
Well, I really appreciate that work. Sometimes we do have to learn from best practices, and it's great to hear. I mean, we all still live where you used to work, so we can't say that isn't a practice that we wouldn't want to incorporate. I'm really grateful, Mayor. Thank you so much for us being able to kind of take a look at this and have a conversation about it. And I'm really I'm interested to see just any feedback from, I know that you probably have spoken to the association, but the changes, kind of any grumblings, how are employees or people who might be aware of this feeling about the changes that you've made or are recommending we make?
Mayor, Councilmember White, so I think that the feedback that we've gotten, so obviously we get feedback from our leadership team on any proposed revisions that we have, so a lot of those were incorporated as we kind of made this, I'll call it somewhat of an overhaul of the policy, because there's quite a few revisions as you look at the red line version. Our association, our fire association, being able to hear direct feedback from them during our negotiation process and what's important to them and what they believe will help add that transparency and ensuring. And I think we're all on the same page where there's certain behaviors that aren't tolerated at the city, and certain things that there are behaviors where it's an opportunity for us to educate and to get somebody up to speed. But just making sure that we're demystifying the process on some level, that it's not behind a lock and key, of what our processes are, and ensuring that employees are fully aware of what that looks like, what rights they have, what our process is as we kind of go through the various steps as it relates to discipline. So the feedback, at least from that aspect of it, is very positive in the sense of the city really taking an extra step and adding that transparency. And I think, just as I mentioned before, it'll be a continuum of us to evaluate our processes, and just like anything else, it's not, okay, we're done and we move on. This is going to be something that we continue to evaluate and look at in the future.
Thank you so much for that, Mayor. Mr. Corbin, Andy, you just said something that kind of sparked a question for me, and also when we were reading through it. Do we know, after you went back to the directors, if they have any departments that might have more stricter scrutiny based on the types of roles that they have for disciplinary action?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember White, yes, depending on the department. Of course, our law enforcement teams have to follow state law. They have to follow post rules, and so those are often stricter than some of the city things. There is, I think, of our drivers, heavy equipment operators. They have their DOT certification, and then sometimes firefighters. So it just depends on the department and what's going on. But those are the big ones that come to mind. Andy?
Mayor, Councilmember White, Mr. Corbin, I would agree. I think when you're talking about the public safety aspect, things that have a direct impact to our residents, our employees' safety, those types of things, those are certainly ones where there's a heightened expectation and level of responsibility as it pertains to those critical job functions.
So it'd be probably public safety and public works. Okay, thank you.
Good. Thank you. Andy, I was going to say, prior to you utilizing the word overhaul as a heavy lift, your team, and bringing some of this information in, not only into compliance, but in partnership with the fire union, and just happy that it has been taken care of. It's a transparent process. Everybody is aware. You can take a look at it. As you said, demystifying the process. So just wanted to make sure you and your team are aware that we appreciate that, and I know it was a major undertaking. So thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, can I just throw one, because we keep talking about our fire association, which I think is represented back there, but so are our one of our police associations. So just know that we give this to all of our associations to look at, whether they're recognized or not, and we receive their feedback as well. In addition, we share with the department directors who take it back to their departments, and we take feedback. The amount of work that Andy, Keeley, and the whole HR team did to synthesize input we received from council, from myself, from the directors, from the associations. It's pretty impressive, the document he was able to put together. But we couldn't do this by ourselves, so really appreciate those directors and associations who put in the time to review and give us feedback that we need to hear.
Thank you so much, Ron. Again, thank you, Andy. If there's no other comments, if there are any questions from council, if we can go back and get some motions on item 5B. Got a motion from Councilmember Solorio, second from Councilmember White. Please vote. Item passes 6-0 with one being absent. Moving on to item 5C. If we can get a motion. Got a motion from Councilmember White, a second from Councilmember Garcia. The rest of the council can vote. Item passes 6-0 with one absence. Thank you so much, Council, and thank you again, Andy. Thank you to all staff within the organization that participated. All right, we had, Ron, you participated a little bit earlier. Is there anything else you want to add as part of your?
No, Mr. Mayor, I'll yield the floor.
Okay, perfect. All right, at this time, a summary of current events from council members. Does anybody wish to share? Okay, Councilmember Garcia.
I
I attended the Patriot All-American by the West Valley Mavericks a few weeks, 3 weeks ago. But it's such a great event. It's a golf tournament they throw on, but it recognizes the fallen military personnel in the area, well, all over actually, and as well as first responders. Every year, an Avondale resident, my friend Donald Stacy, we lost in combat. He's recognized. His picture is always on the golf course, so it's really nice to see. But they also offer wonderful resources for both military and previous law enforcement and fire. They had a career fair, and they had free food and drinks, and they also have speakers who were wonderful. So if you guys have never attended, I highly recommend next year to attend. They have concerts. It's free for everyone to go. But it's one of the events that is probably my favorite that they throw. I know they do a lot of stuff in the community, but that one is really touching my heart. And then I also got to meet Vice President J.D. Vance this past month as well, which was an honor. He's doing such an amazing job, and I just wanted to acknowledge all the work that he's doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Weiss.
Well, I was super excited to be at the opening of the dog park and the pickleball courts. And I think Ron's going to get me out there one of these days and teach me how to play pickleball between him and Corey. But it was great to see so many families already out there using the amenities, and it had just opened, which is great.
Okay. No other council members? I'll quickly go. Again, was what was referenced in regards to the dog park opening and the pickleball courts. That was great. This past Saturday, I was fortunate to be a part of Alomar Community's 5-year anniversary. So I got to meet a lot of residents out there and taste the chili. There was a chili cook-off, and so who does not love chili? I know I do. And then one organization, and this organization is pretty funny. I was invited by a gentleman that some of you may know, Ruben Rosales, to eat breakfast with him and a group that he meets with every Thursday at our McDonald's on 99th Avenue, McDowell. And they wear shirts, and on the shirt it says Romeo. And when you look at Romeo, you're like, wow, they're a pretty cocky group. But what Romeo stands for is retired old men eating out. And so I was fortunate to join them last Thursday for breakfast. I tell you, if you show up on a Thursday morning and join them, they welcome anybody who would like to come and share a few words with them and breakfast. Several of them are veterans, but just the stories they tell, the way they needle each other, and it was a great hour and a half or so that I got to spend time with the Romeos organization. So again, every Thursday, our McDonald's on 99th and McDowell Road. So thank you, Ruben, wherever you are right now. If there are no other reports, then I would like to get a motion for adjournment. Got a motion from Councilmember Garcia, a second from Councilmember Condi. Please vote. We are adjourned. Everybody, please drive safely home, and we'll see you at the next meeting.